Hey, what's up to everybody out there? Welcome to another edition of the Roundtable Talk, and I'm your host, C Money, and I am here in the beautiful Margaret Page Park, which overlooks the Biscayne Bay, here in Miami, in the Albany area, if you want to call it the Albany area. Basically downtown Miami, Albany, Midtown, Design District in that area. This is called Margaret Page Park. This is a well-known park. It's not like uh, a known park, meaning that it's not a historical park, but it's a well-known park. In this area, there's a lot of people that frequent here, like people who exercise. I used to come here a lot back in the mid 2000s because I stayed, near the area, and so I used to come here frequently, sometimes exercise and stuff like that. And this is a great spot. I'm sitting here at one of their his antique seats. This is like a Hanukkah seat. They have like three of them. This is one of them. There's two more down the line, and I'm sitting in one of them because this is the best spot to cover up the sun because the sun is beaming from, you know, the sun is beaming over the Biscayne Bay area. I want to elaborate on before we go on the last video I did. I did a video at festival flea market. I did a video, and it had to be a two-part because I had technical difficulties with recording towards the end, so I had to do a two-part thing. So if it cut off on the last part of the thing, you just catch part two, which is under a 3-minute part two of it. But let's get right into this one. This is a beautiful park. I just want to elaborate on episode that I did back in a couple of weeks ago about the economy, and I talked about the cost of living going up and how the economy is changing. I want to talk about in this episode about government assistance. Does it really help you? Is it something you really need, or is it something that everybody can get? And what I mean by government assistance, I mean anything that the government helps, whether it's Section 8, housing, food stamps, SSI, SSA, anything that the government assists you with. Is it easy? Is it hard? Do you think you need it? Is it necessary? I want to talk about that. And also with the pandemic, with the stimulus and all of that, what do you think about everything, with government assistance? So let's get right into it. And what I mean by government assistance, I mean basically, okay, let's start off with Section 8 in housing. With Section 8 in housing, down here in South Florida, roughly in the Miami-Dade County area, there's a waiting list to get on Section 8. And the reason why is because a lot of people down here, like I told you in the previous episode when I said cost of living, down here it costs you then almost $1,000 just to get a one bedroom. When back in 2001, 2002, it only cost you like $400 or $500 for a one bedroom. Now it's costing you almost $1,000, and that is basically in the urban areas. So, and then now a lot of people are trying to get on Section 8. I've had people, I knew people that say, "Oh, I've been on Section 8 on the waiting list for like 2-3 years," and I say, "Wow." Yeah, because most Section 8s down here, they more catering to the women with kids. Women are single parents, or women with kids, or women who are striving. They put them on. Yeah, it's very rare that you see a man on Section 8 or on housing or anything like that. And to me, that's like, nowadays, that's what a lot of people are referring to, government assistance. Just like when the pandemic hit, everybody was relying on unemployment, even though unemployment was really giving everybody the runaround, especially here in the state of Florida, where unemployment was giving everybody the runaround. They gave myself the runaround. They gave a lot of my friends the runaround, and everybody, a lot of people who returned to work, like myself, were just like, forget it, just bunk it. Like, I'm sick of doing, because like unemployment owes me a lot of money. back pay, like thousands of dollars because everybody at one was supposed to be getting that 600 a week, and then you was getting the stimulus, and then it went down to 300 and all that, and they were saying that they owe you a lot of back pay. And I was, and they kept giving me the runaround because, at one point they were saying that my account was locked, and I had to go into find situations to get my account unlocked. And then when I tried to go through hell, I wanted to get anything that I need, all the stuff that I need to get. And then eventually there was like, I ended up going back to work. So I'm like, fuck it, forget unemployment. And then unemployment found that, hey, you went back to work, so you disqualified. I say, man, I really don't need y'all money anyway. Even though I had money, saved up because, I was saving money before the pandemic. But it's just like, that was a little extra cushion money coming in because a lot of people relied on unemployment because nobody knew how long this pandemic was going to last. We didn't know, we thought that the pandemic was going to be like a couple of months. We was going to be out of work, and then we was going to come back to work. We didn't realize that the pandemic was going to last almost a year plus. A lot of people didn't start going back to work until early 2021. Just like with a lot of the entertainment industries, like a lot of concerts didn't stop coming back to perform until 2021. You had a lot of these concerts and award shows and all of these things that had where the people couldn't come to concerts, the people couldn't come to these award shows or these events and stuff like that. Just like with the sporting events, like when NBA shut down, they shut down for a couple of months, and then what they did, they continued their season in Orlando, and they called it the bubble. And then a lot of people said, oh, the NBA is going to go back in the bubble, where they continued their season in a bubble, which means that all of the players had to move to Orlando into hotels temporarily and finish out the rest of the season. And they had to play out how they was going to play the next season. But then the next season, they said, okay, we're going to start going back to going to regular games in their own hometowns, but without the fans or only with limited crowds. So a lot of these people wasn't expecting that this virus would last this long. They was like, oh, we're just going to be out of work for a couple of days. Nobody knew that we was going to be out of work for almost a year plus. There are some people that are still out of work, and a lot of people are still out of work because they realize that the government is still paying them to be out of work. You still have people that are getting unemployment. You still people that are getting government assistance. At one point, food stamps was giving people, if you only got $100 in food stamps, they would give you 200 and 300 more. During the pandemic because of the fact that they was giving you pandemic money. Just like with unemployment, a lot of people are like, oh, I was getting $600 every week, and my rent is only $600. So hell, I can pay my rent in one payment and blah, blah, blah. So a lot of people was doing that. And a lot of people was relying on government assistance because they feel like as if they needed it. Like me, I didn't really need government assistance, but I took government assistance because, number one, I wasn't bringing in any income during the pandemic. So for me, it was basically like I was spending money that I was saving. And then say for instance, the pandemic lasted about another 2-3 years and we were still in a shutdown, a lot of these people who saved up $3,000, $4,000, $10,000 or whatever, they would have been trying to seek money coming in because it's different when you have $5,000. Let's say for instance, you saved up $5,000 and then everything shuts down because of the pandemic, and then your rent is like $600, $700, $800 a month. Every month you got to dip into that $5,000 to pay your bills, not knowing that you're not having an income coming in. You're just having money going out but no money coming in. So eventually you're going to say, oh, my financial crisis is secure for the next year. But then what if this went on for about 2-3 more years, which it did, because in 2021 it was still things that were slowly coming back together, but it wasn't coming back together completely. I was one of the very few people. I was 0.1% of people that they brought back, because they brought back very few people. It was like me and like 2 to 3 other people that they brought back when my job opened back up. So for me, it was like the rest of the people who didn't come back till later on, they didn't start working till later into mid 2021. I came back in December of 2020 at my job. A lot of people didn't come back until February, March, April, and down the line of 2021. So people were still out of work because number one, a lot of people didn't want to go to work because they were still afraid of this virus, and then number two, a lot of people couldn't find the line of work because a lot of the jobs was losing money and was closing up shop. You had businesses like Toys R Us, Sweet Tomatoes, you know, um, Kmart, and a lot of these businesses that was closing before and during the pandemic because they couldn't keep their business afloat because the sales was going down and people was out of jobs. Just like with the movie theaters, a lot of people didn't want to. When the movie theaters opened back up, they only had limited because a lot of people wasn't going to the movie theaters. Like you have these people that said, okay, I'm not gonna go watch a movie with all of these people because it's still a virus out here. Just the same thing as going to um, a sports venue or a concert, or even though going to a club. You going to a club that sits 300 people, and you got 300 people in the club, and then you still letting people in. You're not social distancing because now these days there's not a lot of social distancing going around. So for me, that would explain a lot of stuff, and that would explain, why a lot of people is still using government assistance. Now, does it work for you? Technically, I would say no, because I'm going to give you an example for food stamps. Like I've seen commercials for food stamps that say, "Oh, if you make a certain amount of money, you're eligible for food stamps. Or if you make this type of money, you're eligible for food stamps." And I've seen where a lot of elderly people that are on a fixed income, meaning they get Social Security, they'll apply for food stamps, and then they'll say, "Oh, you can only get $16, you can only get $21, you can only get $30," and I'm like, they're on a fixed income. Granted, you have to realize they don't get paid bi-weekly, every other week or so. They get they get a lump sum of money once a month. Let's say you get $1,000 a month in Social Security, and your rent is $700. 8, 9, 1,000. That's $300. That's not including you probably have to pay for water. You have to pay for lights. If you have a car, you have to pay car insurance and gas and car notes and stuff. So imagine your $1,000 is sucked up. But then food stamps is gonna say, "Oh, you make enough, so you only get paid 200. You only get paid $20." And I'm like, that's not enough. They did my mom like that, and my mom is on Social Security, and they was like, "Oh, you're only gonna get $16." And I'm like, what is $16? When you go to Publix, $16 can only get you one item. Because remember, the food chain goes, the most expensive food chain is Publix. The least expensive goes from Walmart and Save-A-Lot, because you have Winn-Dixie, Publix, Walmart, Save-A-Lot, you have other brand name, Harvey's and Buy Lowe's, who are in different cities, Trader Joe's and a lot of these other chains that are in different cities. And the main three to me is Publix, Winn-Dixie, and Walmart. And Publix is the most expensive because $16 is not gonna get you nothing in Publix. Even though they have quality food, it's not gonna get you nothing. It's not even gonna get you half the stuff you need in Winn-Dixie. $50 won't get you nothing in Publix. $50 will get you maybe something in Winn-Dixie, but not as much. So I look at it as if you're sitting up here saying that people of a certain age that get government assistance already, which meaning Social Security or anything, or disability, that is unable to work, they can only get $2-3 in food stamps. That's why I say getting government assistance doesn't always work for it, and it sometimes do, it sometimes don't. Because just like with unemployment, most people use unemployment as if they either get laid off or they're not working at the time. They get fired or get laid off, because you can't get unemployment when you quit. You can get unemployment when you're fired or laid off. And a lot of these people that get it, they try to get the most out of unemployment because if you have bills, how you gonna pay your bills? And I've had people that say they only get 100 and something a week or 200 and something every week, and it only comes to $300-400 check. And I'm like, yeah, but that doesn't make out how much your rent is because remember, the cost of living. You not only just got rent, you also have utilities, which is lights, water. You have cost of transportation, meaning if you do use public transportation, you still have to pay for that. If you use your own private transportation, meaning you have your own car or motorcycle, whatever, you have to keep the upkeep. You have insurance, car note, and all that. So it's like government assistance is not really helping you in some points. The only way you can help if government assistance is if like you're with somebody, or if you're staying. Like I say, a lot of these people now are shacking up with people, like meaning they're either getting roommates or they're getting companionship for financial stability because it's the best way out of it. A lot of these people that I've seen and a lot of these people that I've known, and I see it on social media a lot of times where people say that they're looking for roommates because they can't afford to pay for their place of residency alone. A lot of these people are paying $800-900 a month in rent, and they only get paid $300-400 a paycheck. So now they have to stretch their paycheck to where you got to pay this bill, and you got to pay this bill, and you got to pay this bill. Everybody has a bill, regardless if you're living with somebody or you're living alone, regardless if you have a roommate or if you have your own place, regardless if you're staying in a rooming house or wherever you're at. Everybody has a bill. Bills do not go away, whether you're 5 years old or 50 years old. Everybody has a bill. Even as a teenager, you have a bill. It costs to live, because every day you go outside your house, you're paying for something. A kid can't say, oh, I can't. Even if you go into the grocery store to buy groceries for yourself and you're a teenager, that's a bill. Even if you got to go and buy school clothes for you for school, that's a bill. It may not be your money, but it's still a bill. So for me, everybody has a bill. It's just that some people bills are not as much as other people, because they may say, oh man, I stay with my mom because it keeps, it's hard to live out here and stuff like that. But I've had friends that ventured out on their own, and it was hard for them to survive because of the cost of living going up. So eventually they had to come back home, to where they couldn't survive on their own because every time you look at it, the cost of living keeps going up, and a lot of people's pay rates are still the same. Florida, we're one of the very last few states to offer $15 minimum wages. I know there are other states like Georgia and other states that don't do $15 minimum wages. Like I said in the previous show, they approved the minimum wage in the state of Florida to be $15, but it won't take effect for the next couple of years. Like meaning now people are at $10-11 an hour, and you won't get to $15 for about the next 2-3 years because it goes up either every year or every couple of months. I'm not for sure how it is, but it's the fact that a lot of these government assistance really is not really helping people, because let's say for instance you get Section 8 and you try to use Section 8. Do you think Section 8 is really helping you? Do you think that it's really giving you the peace of mind that you want? So how would you think, of that? Ooh, excuse me, y'all. Honestly, I don't think that it's giving you a peace of mind. I don't actually think that it's helping people in that state of mind. I'm going to tell you why. And this is why I'm going to tell you. Let's say you get approved for Section 8 and where you stay at. I had a friend of mine, a friend from college, who was in a program. The apartment was $1,000. They wasn't in Section 8, but they was in a program. They was in $1,000. I should be saying, personal people, but I'm like, and then it's like where you got to pay half of that. Back in the day, remember back in the day when a lot of people who was on Section 8 and who was on government assistance, they was only paying like $1 a month in rent, maybe $100 or $200 in rent. Now you got to pay $300-400, and Section 8 pay the rest. And for some people that may be good because it keeping the cost of them down, but then there are some people that's paying $500 and $600, and they still get Section 8. And I'm like, if you're paying $500 and $600 and you're under Section 8, I can only imagine how much your rent is. Your rent has to be 10 times or twice that much for you to be paying $500 and $600 for rent. You know, when you paying Section 8, and when you on Section 8 is supposed to pay majority of your rent, and you supposed to pay a little small lump sum. Like if your rent is $1,000, you only supposed to be paying like $300-400. You ain't supposed to be paying $500-600. Hell, you might want to say you paying for your rent altogether. So it's like it really doesn't work for you, but for some people, they look at it as if it is working. I mean, needless to say, yes. Needless to say, no. But I look at it as if government assistance is not always accurate. Like I told you about the food stamps, it's been where I've seen people that say, oh, they only giving me $16, oh, they only giving me $20, oh, they only giving me a certain amount of money. And I'm like, well, how is it that you're surviving when all your money that you make from work go towards bills, and they're only giving you $20-30 in food stamps? To me, that's a trip to Dollar Tree for a week's worth of food, because Dollar Tree is only what, $1.25, since they went up, and that's only like, and then you have to put money aside. Like you can't spend the whole $30 because plus tax. Even though they don't tax food stamps, you have to keep some aside, because, and it's like, by the time you finish Dollar Tree, you're only buying a week's worth of food. And with Dollar Tree groceries, they only give you portions, meaning they give you those TV dinners, those little small TV dinners, and then with the cereals, they give you the little small like cereal boxes that you can only get like 2, maybe 3 bowls out of it, depending on how you pour your cereal. So it's like you're not getting much out of it. And for government assistance to say, okay, we'll approve, but you're only getting this much, then a lot of people look at it as if, well, I'm not getting nothing at all. Because to me, it seems like you're not giving me enough money or enough assistance to help me out. And it's like, how do people think that? How do people think, oh yeah, I'm on Section 8 and this and that, and I got approved for Section 8, but your Section 8 may not be what you want. You may still have to pay $500-600 a month, and they only paying a certain amount. And I'm like, how is that assisting you in everyday living? Like Social Security. Social Security now these days, it's not really paying a lot of people money. Like the most you get is $1,000, maybe $1,100, maybe $1,200 from Social Security. You're not getting $1,500-1,600 from Social Security. So how is it when your rent is $800-900 an hour and you only got $200-300 left to spare, and then you have other bills, car insurance, car note, utilities, food, and stuff like that? So how is it that you're able to survive when you don't get enough money? And then there's a saying that within the next 30-40 years, maybe 50 years, there won't be no Social Security. And I agree, because they're saying that Social Security that we are paying for now is paying off for other people, because there's like half of the economy is on Social Security. You have people that is on Social Security that get Social Security that don't need to be on it. And it's because of, life. It's life. It's life. Everybody is admiring this how you want to call it, stone. I don't know if you can see it. It's like a nice little artwork, and everybody's admiring as they walk by. But it's like, how can you survive off of this? Because like and then everybody's saying that the Social Security, like when you get paid, you pay income tax, and you pay Medicaid, and you pay Social Security, and you pay other taxes depending on your state. So for us, it's Medicare, or Medicaid, Medicare is one of them. Social Security and income tax you're paying. But for Social Security, you're supposed to be paying that money for when you retire. That's your nest. But you're basically paying for other people's Social Security because Social Security is overloaded with with a lot of Social Security um, applicants with Social Security personnel. Where you got people that are under the retirement age that are getting Social Security. You know, you got people that are little kids, you know, like disabled kids and stuff like that getting Social Security. So you're paying for them, not knowing that in a couple of years from now, 15, 20, 30, 40 years, 50 years from now, there may not be any Social Security. They're trying to get people to retire later than usual because when my mom first retired, the retirement age was 62. Now it's got to be in the upper 70s because a lot of these people, they have to keep working to survive. Like, basically, if you retire now and you're 60 or 70 years old and your rent is at like $1,000, on them, Social Security is only give you 1,000, maybe 1,200, or maybe 1,000 plus. That is your rent right there. So how are you going to survive when you can't afford to live off of Social Security? So that means you have to have cushion money to survive. You know, and a lot of these people can't have cushion money because it's hard to save in this economy. You know, you got food costs going up, the cost of living keep going up. You got the cost. My rent just went up. My rent is going up next month, and I was like, wow. And I say if it go up any more than what it originally is, because when I first moved in, I was paying a decent price for rent. It went up about 2 to 3 times. I mean, no way. It went up about twice since I've lived in, and I've lived here for about 10 years, about 10 plus years. So for me, I said, and it's going up again, which will be the third time, and I say if it goes up even more to where it's getting out of hand, I'm moving. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like I'm not finna keep paying the cost of living. Like I told you in on the previous episode when I was talking about the cost of living, a lot of these people are paying 2021 prices for these apartments that look like they from the 1980s and the 1990s and the 1960s and 1970s. You paying 2000 and 2021, 2022 prices for apartments that look like they belong in the 1980s. And I'm like, yeah, that is really like crazy. And I want to know what y'all feel about this. Do you think that government assistance is really helping us in this day, even before and after the pandemic? You know, is it really helping us? Is it really, you know, is it really changing lives for people? Do you think that people should be on government assistance? Do you think that people shouldn't be on government assistance? Do you think that it is fair that these people are on government assistance, or you think it's not fair? What do you think about it? I want you to comment. As always, you can comment at the bottom of this page in the comment section. You can also email us, roundtable00@yahoo.com. If you want to be mentioned but you don't want to comment, or you want to be an anonymous, you can email me, roundtable00@yahoo.com. Don't forget to click and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to check out our previous videos and previous episodes. And you can also comment on our previous episodes and comment at there as well. This is beautiful Margaret Page Park. Beautiful. It is not too sunny. It is not too hot. It is not too cold. The breeze is right, and that's why I'm out here, and I want to do an episode out here. This is the Roundtable Talk. I'm your host, C Money. If you've ever seen Margaret Page Park, if you've never seen Margaret Page Park, I'm sure there's YouTube videos about Margaret Page Park. There's photos about Margaret Page Park. I just showed you one of the architectural artwork chairs that they have. This is a Hanukkah one because it has the Hanukkah candles at the top. This is the Round Table Talk. I am your host, C Money. Mask up, stay safe, stay blessed, protect yourself, and I will see you in the next episode. Stay blessed. Have a good day.